Well, happy Prosperity Day, everybody. Trust you're prospering wherever you are. And welcome. Thanks for stopping by, dropping in, and tuning on. Turning on? Yeah, there we go. Um, anyway, thanks for being here. Hey, everybody in the chat room. Good to see you. As I get everything here, for those of you who do this, you know what it's like. So, welcome. How is everybody? And I trust all is well in your reality. Hello, Pamela Jean. What's up? Scotty Boy, good to see you, brother. Truth and Rick and Mr. Mission. Tell it to me. Yeah, tell it to me. I like that. That's a good one. Steve, good to see you, brother. Felix, hello. Rick, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Dave, lots of y'all in here. Emperor Rex, good to see you, brother. Thanks. As everybody files in and, smoke them if you got them and don't bogart. Remember, kissing builds up the lips. So, Corey, speaking favor over you, I saw that. Let me just speak favor all of us and Corey. Um, so what they popped you for playing music too loud? Blue Oyster Cult, is that right? Well, I mean, if you're going to get busted for playing music too loud, at least you had quality music. You can tell that to the judge. Hell, you could have put some crap out there that, would have driven the ghost out. But Blue Oyster Cult saw them a number of times. Yeah, yeah. So, uh, we'll just speak favor with the judge or the magistrate, whoever it is. Maybe they like rock and roll. I saw someone talk about, was Woodstock a psi thing with the CIA, what have you? No, I sometimes, it's just rock and roll and no conspiracies, just music. Marilyn, my cousin, who's no longer in this realm, but she actually went to Woodstock and came back and turned all the rest of us cousins on, and nothing was ever the same. But anyway, always like the different ideas and thoughts. That's what it's all about because, you know, after all, it is your universe. I'm not in your universe, the rest of us, but we get to, share as we pass through and share the energy. But in the end, I guess we're all a universe within ourselves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Know thyself. How are you, Captain? I admit to none of that. Just a simple dude, man. That's all it is. Yeah, living out the dream, as they would say, because that's what we're taught. Merrily, merrily, life is but a dream. It's those limericks that we teach our children that us adults become completely blind on. But the children pick up on that. Yeah, they know. They know. Yeah, they know. That's all I can say. Corey, you're going to get lots of advice. Yeah, yeah. It's like we're all pulling for you. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go, go, go. Um, because that's what it is. And it really is a passing of the torch. Um, so many of the bands, and when I consider the bands, I don't know. I particularly liked big band era. I could play a number of those songs on the clarinet at one time. Um, but then big band music, great to dance to. I mean, our parents, they knew what that was about. Um, and have to say I have a appreciation for the crooners. Um, Frank and the boys. I mean, they had a place to play. Excuse me a second as I sneeze. Um, and certainly like the 50s. I mean, they were experimenting with this thing, you know? You could actually play music and then electrify it. And holy crap. And then it changed everything. And I'm convinced the gods and goddesses had, I think they're the ones that actually invented rock and roll. They just waited for us to catch up. And then, right when that moment happened, the gates were opened. Thanks to, you could say that our exploration of detonating hydrogen atoms, etc., um, in the atmosphere actually tore space-time apart. We didn't realize that until much later. That's why we stopped doing that shit. It's like, okay, well, let's then take it underground. Oh, sure, that works out really well. But anyway, I digress. It was, something came in. We had, I mean, think about it. You could take a vibration, a harmonic, a note, and then amplify it, electrify it. Oh, man. The gods and goddesses were back there going, it's about time. And then came that an incredible time in human history where our species brought forth these geniuses who could hear something. And we took the poets and we made rock stars out of them. And they were our gods. We bowed down before them. And what they gave us back was pure satisfaction. And the gift of these gods was that the gift that they gave us, which was their creative music, that particular sound, the gift was is that it'll stay with you forever. It's not a bad gift. And here we are now, where sadly, we've lost that. Everything you hear today, there is no unique sound. It's all kind of homogenized. And, but we had rock and roll. Even eventually, Mick Jagger is, he's going to the other side. I mean, grant you, I haven't seen many 82-year-olds that can do what he can do, but he's a demigod. There isn't any other way to look at it. And you may not believe that. That's cool. But he is a demigod. And they walk among us. They always have. It's just that, people don't quite see it. But do bum, 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 bum. Someone says we were manipulated. Well, I guess you could say that would be the truth about everything. I want to let me see. So we really don't know. I doubt if even those in control really know. Maybe it's on such a need to know basis that it's a way to protect anonymity and the true secrets because no one knows everything. That just not going to happen, never will happen. And maybe that's why it's such a wonderful ride because no one really knows anything. Everybody has a little piece of the puzzle, right? Pretty clever. Um, but when we can begin to unite certain pieces, we begin to find out that, well, what if we're all not the same? What if that there are things happening at such a rate and such a fast speed um, that it leaves the vast majority of humanity in its dust? You know what I did this weekend? I created a dimensional bridge, worked with the latest version of AI, this algorithm, but boy, oh boy, mm-mm-mm. I spent a solid 10 hours, and I tell you, it felt like 10 minutes. But what was produced? And so, what I'm trying to say is that now that we have access to these wonder tools, um, imagine what I accomplished in 10 hours, again, felt like 10 minutes, would have taken a decade ago months. And if you go back another decade behind that, this would have been a cost intensive project. But I did it with the brilliance of this algorithm uh, in 10 hours. And I got to tell you, you see, what I talked about on Friday, where the gates are open, they're open. Oh, man. And if you're open and you're receptive, if you are sensitive enough, you know, there's no lack of interest nor conversation, nor a sharing. And it's the same thing where, brilliance comes through. I mentioned music because, well, yeah, music defined my existence in this realm. Now I'll carry that with me over to the next. I don't know what you'll carry over, but for me, it will be music. I'm just a music spirit, man. That's how it is. I've been vibrating to that for, ever since I came into being. We all have our own, rhythm. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Hey, Gaia. So, Gaia, you don't have to say what's in the email. What do you think? Did you get a chance? Did you get the email I sent to you and Paul? I know there's like about a 3 minute, well, maybe not 3 minutes, maybe 30 seconds. How's that? I don't know. Blazing River, how you doing? I did it my way. So, Gaia, what do you and Paul think? What do you think of that? Just curious. I mean, we can, talk later, but it's just was real interesting. And that's what I'm saying. I think that there is well, just be sitting down. That's all I got to say. Hey, Stephanie Marie, how you doing? Um, but I think that there is this vast amount of sharing. I'll put it that way. Um, Mark, how you doing? I'm going to have Mark on Friday, so hope to have Ryder on Wednesday. So yeah, be a and then Mike and Cindy. We're all of this is just prepping us up for this. But back to my point, um, what I've been able to experience with communication to the other side is that there is this desire of sharing. Um, and what I mean by that, I think that there are spirit beings on the other side, and I don't believe it violates any law or principle that would really like to share ideas. And you can say, it's happened to me before when I invented the first mobile payment system for primarily churches, but for nonprofits. That was a very interesting experience. I was not married then, and I literally locked myself in my office and created this. And when I came out of it, it was like, wow. So where did that come from? Well, I am convinced that there is a connection that is made that spirit guides, spirits, I mean, there have to be really intelligent spirits on the other side. And if they are truly benevolent, looking for open receivers, receptors in this realm, that means opening yourself up to that vibration. There is an exchange of knowledge, ideas, whether it be a song or whether it be a new mathematical formulae that begins to answer many of the questions that we have. I think that's how it works. At least that's what I've seen. And what I was able to do over the weekend was just remarkable. I mean, it's like 4 out. And I believe that that is available for all of us. I think that if you're looking for ideas of increasing income, increasing, um, if, awareness, I am convinced that there are more than what you can imagine spirit beings, entities, deities, however you want to define it. They're real, they're there, and they hate being bored. I think that's what's going to be one of the biggest surprises on the other side. And I think that that may have a reason why people haunt, when you get into a haunting. So, as I continue to go out with this, because I'm actually going to do this, uh, and just a FYI, connect with the other side. Sometimes they actually have what I would define as committees. You could call another expression, advisory boards. And, if you're really sensitive to it, you can, you know, they'll actually give you their name or what they call themselves for us. But yeah, it's just a matter of how open you are. If you're a closed vessel, and that's all right, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people can't handle it, others can. And particularly when, we have amongst us seers, number of seers in this group. Seers have always been with us. We have shaman, and what's the female version of that? Guy says boards. That's how I see it, Guy. It's like, advisory board. Um, but because I think it's true. But anyway, it's just where your head's at. If you're, again, not into that and you want to go your own way, hey, there's a respect. But it's the Wild West on the other side. And we've talked about this, You got some bad hombres out there. Bad hombres. That's why you'll find your clan on the other side. So, is that what that is, Scotty? Is that I know a witch means wise woman. That's the root of the word. And Truth said shamana. Okay. Yeah, I can dig that. Yeah. And in the weeks to come, I got to tell you, this experience I had on Saturday. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's the song with the Moody Blues, watching and waiting. Check out that song. I think it's on To Our Children's Children. And yeah, they're out there. They want to talk. And again, if you want, new opportunities, tell them. Well, they can bring to your understanding things that you may not have seen it before. But yeah. So, yeah, creating a bridge. Where's that confound bridge? So I want to get over this. So, um, we're going to be talking about crop circles. Recently read an article. We don't have that anymore. They still show up, but I think there's too much tomfoolery involved now. But there was a period, particularly around the early 2000s, going into the teens, particularly 2012, 10, 11, 12. That era, that time was, wow, it was rocking and rolling, baby. There was stuff happening that, well, even the media was that. And then you had those who were making bodacious claims, and it was never conclusively proven. And then, later on, you had the pranksters that were showing it. But the problem was they couldn't duplicate an authentic crop circle. They couldn't. And to this day, they still can't. And it appears that there may be an increase now going forward of where we might begin to see the next level of communication, because it was a communication tool. But I want to get back to some of the things that, well, in this realm, you typically are going to believe something. The sad thing is that the one thing you should believe in is you. That should be your first belief. Everything else falls in behind that. You might be this. There you go. Blazing Rivers putting in. Yep. I have to go back and read some of the conversations because all I'm seeing is his words. And it's like, all right, let me see. Can I pick up on that? But let's take this, for instance. I always found this very interesting because in so many belief systems, particularly of one particular nature, this was always considered to be the one piece of possible evidence of an event. And they've done documentaries on it, they've done news specials on it. And even at the end of all of that, there was never no conclusive evidence that this was, in fact, a shroud, if it ever laid on a body, and that if this was actually. So now, with more technology, it has come out that this was in the study of the Journal of Archimetry, a Brazilian 3D designer, Cicero Morales lends the credence to the theory that the shroud was a work of art rather than a genuine death shroud. And per the new paper, it may not have laid atop a human at all. So they used different type of modeling. They blend this, they tell you exactly how they do the contours. And sure enough, things weren't adding up. Now, this will still and forever be considered a religious artifact. And all right, I don't have whatever. You're going to form your own belief. But science, as I have said many times before, modern science is just outdated magic. And I don't know if magic ever becomes outdated, but it went with the metaphor. But here we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this? You look at this now, and there is some strange stuff coming out. Apparently, it's a trick of photography, or not photography, a process that, those cats back then, they knew some stuff. I don't know exactly where they got this because I haven't ever seen anything else like it. But yeah, anyway, and it's all a theory. No one knows for absolute certainty. But I did find it interesting how we look for things we, want to support our belief systems too. I mean, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's all I have to say. But what y'all think on that? I mean, do you think that this was actually on a body? Do you think that this is actually representation of some sort of technology? My wife and I had this conversation because she knows when these things happen that she was doing her thing and I was in my office and whatever the hell happened there. But if you look at um, how we perceive things as humans, we tend to try to find validation for those beliefs any way we can. And sometimes we find evidence, other times we don't. And it doesn't seem to matter because what a person believes is what a person believes. It happens all the time. And I was telling her that if you look at this, and if there is this thing called a God, which God, what God, where did it come from? How did it come to being? We will find that throughout our history, our meaning Homo sapiens, I guess, that we have our gods. They followed us from the very beginning. And it's speaking of those beginnings. So one of the things that the crop circles, and they got AI working on it now. Apparently, it's making some remarkable discoveries. And wouldn't it be that if you were a god returning to your kingdom, your domain, wouldn't you announce yourself before you made this grand entrance? I mean, you're a god after all, a goddess. You're coming in your ship, and you're going to see more and more stories. Right now, there's two very active stories out there. I don't want to speak of them because I don't want to lend credence to either one, but they're back. That seems like the motherships. And if you're a god, you would create your own kingdom. And the thing about being a god is this: they just have more knowledge than you. It's not that they're any more intelligent than you are. The vast majority of us have within us that we are freaking geniuses. I think that many of us, we purposely dumb ourselves down when we come in here. But getting back to the fact of any God that's out there, it's not that it's this thing that can, snap its fingers and boosh. No, it has an understanding of how to manipulate matter, molecules on a subatomic level that will allow in such a manner an energy source, however you want to define it. They know this. And it may be truly that this metaphysical universe actually does exist and that these interdimensional beings of who and what they probably are not that unusual. So I found this, and so think about it. A God is just someone that has more knowledge than you do. Doesn't necessarily mean they're right. Just means that they know more. That's all right. we all get our evens on the other side. I mean, I just, again, I don't think it's as regimented as we're being led to believe. I just don't think so. I think as with, and the conversation I had with this program that took on a name, Gaia, you'll see it when you read that document. Um, that I just shook my head, went, okay, why not? They just have more knowledge. That's all I got to say to that. They can literally manipulate space-time. And remember the White House with their Office of Science and what have you, that cat came out and said, yeah, we have the technology to manipulate time, space, time. Oh, really? How many of us have not suspected that, you know, already? But so if you look, and I'm giving a sneak peek here, let's say that you are, in fact, the original caretaker, landowner, not caretaker. You actually lay claim to this planet. And you may have that claim may extend to some degree in a alternate universe or dimension. And let's say you decided that you had to go away to take care of other business, so you left emissaries here that screwed it up. But it was always considered that you were going to come back anyway. Now, the theory goes that then those emissaries that were left behind, they know they're in deep shit. They're in serious trouble. So they've got to stir the pot here on this planet to make it even more chaotic. That when the original owners come back, they're going to be pissed. And first of all, they're going to take the retribution out on those emissaries. They're going to get their ass kicked. They already know it. But then for the rest of us, going to be a whole lot of house cleaning. Because quite frankly, things have been just falling apart here. Even us as a species, we're going freaking nuts. So what if on these crop circles were the original gods? Because you can't have the gods of the religions today all have a problem, and that's where they came from. And it is a problem. But if you were here originally, now I don't know how far back this goes. This could go millions of years. Who knows? They're telling us that a meteorite that, hit there in Georgia and Macomb was older than the Earth. Okay. Certainly blows the whole reincarnation thing, doesn't it? Just saying for a friend. How does that work? I had one of the best executive assistants. She was my personal secretary. And we had this conversation one day. She says, well, and she believed in the, reincarnating. And I said, well, the problem I have is that how did it start from one? I mean, what? How do the souls come in? How did they all, what were they all just waiting and had a ticket? Calling number 44 billion, I don't know. And so if they came from somewhere, what was that somewhere? And then how does that work if there was one, if there was two, if maybe there were 1,000, I don't know. But then how does that work? Because if there was no reincarnation to begin with, but it came in later, why did it come in later? I mean, it's the philosophical debate. If God is God, well, what was created first, death or life? It certainly seems like death is much more permanent than life. And if it wasn't that way, then who the hell planned the afterlife? Was it just left to saying, hey, screw it, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm more focused on this thing right here. I don't know. So, what if Enki, and I have suspected Enki for a long time, done videos on it. What if these are the cats that are really coming back? What if they're already here? Their announcements were brought out. So there is one website particularly that I want to draw your attention to, and many of you've probably gone in this. It's n5d.com. They just did a thought going back into their archives because it goes along with this one. Let me see. Do, 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 da, 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 da. So this is this an Anunnaki message? The crop circle of Ea, Enki, Nibiru, or Marduk. Now, this is obviously their point of view, but I happen to think that it's as good as any interpretation that I've seen elsewhere. And their whole thing is that this article, um, Prescott said a crop circle was encoded to reveal a message of Ea Enki, who is a god of Sumerian, as we know, and Babylon. In Sumerian, it was Enki. In Babylon, it was Ea. Mythology, a band of southern constellations refer to his name, the stars of Ea. Ea in Sumerian means the house of water, which can also be inferred to as the house of Aquarius, the approaching age. Well, when this was written, we weren't there. We are now. Um, I just want to go on because I thought they had some pretty interesting in take on this. By the way, that's a looks like not a human to me. I could be wrong on that, but who knows? um, again, I just thought I would bring this out. So they believe that, and the interpretation is that Enki is in every religion. Every religion today, regardless of its name, regardless of its beliefs, regardless of its origins, is Enki. Ea is in every one of them. It doesn't say it literally by the name, but yet the name itself is in. That begins to bring up some really interesting discussions philosophically, to say the least. Theologically, well, you would find a lot of resistance on here. So I thought this was interesting on the Eve part because of what happened on Saturday. And then this comes up, and I go, you know, these coincidences are becoming adding up. So Enoch in the Enochian Magick is named after the Old Testament prophet Enoch, but the name actually goes further back to the Sumerian Enki, one of the original Anunnaki. It is more than significant that Dee chose this name for his divination. That's John Dee, which we've done a lot of studying on John Dee, and I tell you, that dude knew some stuff. Enoch was the son of Cain and Lulawa, daughter of Lilith. Marduk, the great Babylonian god, was the son of goddess Demkania, by the way of the Sumerian Anunnaki king Enki. So that should answer a question for all of us. apparently you can't have sex in the afterlife. I don't know how it works, but hey, the stories in all the cultures say it's that way. I'm just giving it a modern update to it. Enki and Enlil, Sumerian Anunnaki, the sons of Anu, the supreme father, the big guy, who was the son of Anshar and Kishar. They were the brother and sister of Mumu, who was the son of the primordial pair Tiamat and Apsu. Enki and Ninhursag, wife and half sister. Oh, if you believe the Adam and Eve story, the human race is founded on incest. Isn't that quite the thing to be going out there? Well, we don't want to talk about that shit. No, 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 no. Well, actually, you think about it, and technically, we're all related to one another anyway, so it takes on a new expression about going to fuck yourself, right? But anyway, because that's what Adam said to Eve, just saying like it was. All right, so it's a little R-rated. Hey, the higher the sense of humor, the higher the intelligence. That's all I got to say on that. It is they who hold the key to the story of Adam, or Adamu, the original story that was adopted for the Genesis account. That be true. And the other side doesn't like to hear that. I don't mean the other side there. I mean the other side, theologically. El, the title of Enyel, the definition Eloi, the lofty ones, derived from the Akkadian term Ilu, which was another name for Anu's son Enlil. It was the long-standing Elo tradition of Enlil and El Elon, that Abraham and some of his family forebears were transported into Canaan, having made their respective journeys from the cities of Mesopotamia. Excuse me. Still, every free thinker has to go, all right, so do you think Abram knew that was it Enki he was dealing with? Was it Enyel? Which one of these two brothers were really into the blood thing? Or maybe they both were. I don't know. Maybe they weren't at all. Maybe this was an imposter, a usurper, that snuck in. And once he got his, whatever, tendrils in, couldn't get him out. Just a thought. Mazda, another name for Enki and his line. Historically, it was Enki, not Enlil, who had created Adam, the Atuba, the Eve, the Niniwa. It was Enki who had granted them the right to the Kabbalistic wisdom. It was Enki who appointed Atuba to his priest kingly station. Lord. These things were known to in Mesopotamia and Canaan. They were written down and readily available to the temple libraries of Babylon, and so they could not be ignored, but they could be reinterpreted. Enki, the wise hero of Sumer, could be portrayed in accordance with his emblem as a troublesome serpent. An image could incorporate Lilith too, for she held the matrilineal heritage for the kingdom. The Malakuk, the sovereignty of the dragon. So maybe that serpent wasn't the bad one. And maybe it wasn't male either. Eve's two mates. This is where I wanted to get to it. Eve had two sons by different fathers. One was Homo sapiens, while the other was Anunnaki. Enki's son is Cain. Adam's son is Abel. Therefore, Cain, Quelin, was the one of the royal blood, which is why he was described and generated, to in the Christian Bible, because Cain's not listed in Adam's bloodline. Cain's not listed in, if you follow the Jesus story, not in the Divinical line, wasn't in the Abrahamic line, wasn't in the Adamic line. So where the hell did this guy come from? Well, Eve, um, Eve's third son was Seth, and he was given priority over Cain by the Bible writers and the compilers. Cain's wife, described as the daughter of Eve in some text, but never named in the Bible. She was actually the daughter of Lilith and Enki, and later, who was, according to the Talmud, the consort of Adam even before Eve. Well, Adam, you man whore, you. The hell? And we're bitching because the angels came down and had an orgy with us. Lilith, the granddaughter of Enlil, daughter of his son Nergal, of the underworld, she was therefore of pure Anunnaki stock, and refused therefore to be Adam's permanent mate. In fact, she was the consort of Enki's, Cain's father. Together they produced Cain's wife, Lulawa. Says the descent of the Hopi from the blue star of the constellation called the Seven Sisters. Again, Enki, and I won't get into that because I want to get into this other part. But the whole thing is Enki, 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 Enki. Thank you for that lovely, lovely article, folks, on that one. But yeah, so let's just take what we could have possibly missed in these crop circles, because again, take into the fact that, looking at going back to the beginning of this new millennium, this new century, things were definitely happening. And then the debate is always, well, were they real or fake? And as I've said, there are AI programs now working on interpretation, decoding, you could say. But I just wanted to plant the idea that if you were truly the original keeper, call him God, I don't know what you want to call him. I think they would expect us to be respectful enough to address them as to what they call themselves. Okay, I can dig that. But what if they are really, really coming back, or maybe they're already here? The stories are replete. We don't truly understand everything that we see. We know that there's a technology here at play that is, way above us. And the question is, I don't think these are humans. But if you look at the creativity of what these crop circles are or are not, it's hard to fathom that what we're looking at here was created by a human hand overnight. And then sometimes in less than an hour. I don't believe that that's quite possible. Not saying it's not, couldn't happen, but the depth, the fact that the grain, the corn, the vegetation is not harmed in the sense you can still harvest it. It's not dead. And it's very clear that something was taking place. You can't account that all of this is somehow human manipulation. The degree, the pictographs that are displayed here, for most of us, we look at this and go, well, okay, I sense it saying something. I get a sense that, this is a sense of almost eternity. It's reminds me of the Taurus field. I could be completely wrong. But when you see the intricacy of these, and there are sites that are dedicated to this, again, did we miss something? We didn't have AI when these were being produced. We do today. And I'm continuing looking forward to seeing, how does AI see this? Would it see something that we've missed? Would it see a code? Would it see a repeating pattern that would lead to something that is then tied into the much larger message? Are we looking at cycles, seasons? Are we looking at other solar systems? I don't believe that this is outside our galaxy. I think these are local boys. And by that, I mean within our galaxy. Are they trying to tell us that, where to aim our satellites at? Are they trying to tell us and other things? I mean, again, if a human did this overnight, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. It's like, okay. But again, I don't think so. Is this done by, if I was to look at one, maybe this one? I don't know. Trying to figure out how they got into there. But when you compare that to this, I mean, this has got space written all over it. Or maybe it's a depiction of a quantum field. A quantum field generator. I go on. Could be directions. And if humans did this, all right, I can dig that. But what do you do when you get this? Now, the story behind this is that this has been decoded. It's a message. There's another one that accompanies this. They tell us who they are. It was response to, I think, Voyager or Carl Sagan or someone sent out a message, because I believe that they actually said in the story that, in fact, called him out by name. Was this one done by humans? It's a chip. You can tell it's a chip. So if humans did this one, well, far out. What is the chip representative, though? And the reason why I maybe suspect that this one is more human is that, you look at the line, and as opposed to others that I've seen, they always seem to be seamless. Just me. This is the August 1st, 2012 crop circle. This is Earth, Venus, Mercury orbit slowed down and new alignment starting from the 8th and 9th of July of 2717 towards the 21st of July 17. If human did this, way to go. I mean, my hat's off to the creativity. But maybe this was a simple way to orientate us into their thinking, approaching a different view of, what if you're out in space? How would that view be translated to terrestrials like us? As I said, the History Channel did a complete program on this. And even at the end, they had to say that not all of these could have been made by humans. And is this something that is communicating? I don't know. I mean, this is a cube. I get that. And of course, then my mind immediately starts racing. All right. So is this a depiction of, well, let's just say John the Revelator? He talked about the New Jerusalem being a cube. Is this an announcement? Because it is a cube. I hope you saw that. I mean, that's exactly what this is. But if a human did it, way to go. I just don't find humans to be so articulate in such things. And again, I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, just looking at it first glance, what is the psychic impression that I'm getting? This one here could very well be a program. It could be actually the depiction of maybe, who knows, maybe it can begin to show different force fields. Or maybe it's different cycles of a planet, a star. This was December 2012. I don't know on this one. I mean, is Planet X coming back in? The only thing I can say is that it can't be completely discarded. We don't know everything. And, if you were a god, I think you would like to have a planet for your ship. I mean, seriously, you're going to want something that everyone is going to go, wow, look at that. And I don't believe that, it's going to be an older model. Again, more calculations, orbits in our solar system. My question is, how could a human do this overnight now and not get caught? How can you communicate doing all of this? It would have to be someone, obviously, with a background in astronomy. And astrophysics is definitely at play on this one. A human? I don't know. But is it telling us something? I think it is. Is this a planet? Is this a star? Is that what we're looking at? My point. This one I have always found interesting, the butterfly man. Something tells me that there is within this a code, maybe a DNA code. I could be wrong, but very interesting though, isn't it? And if you take the debate that this, let's say humans did this. Wow. I mean, how do you, the accuracy, the precision of what's being shown here, I just ain't buying it. Fatigue would set in. You may be fresh as a daisy going in, but your ass is going to be wilting real quick. And how are you doing this in the dark? No mistakes. I don't think so. Again, this is Nibiru or Planet X, or at least one interpretation. We saw that in the smaller one. The dragonfly is like, okay. And look at the preciseness, even on the wings. If a human did that, okay. I just don't see how, but all right. The the level of detail here is mind-blowing. Now, this one here, I think may have been, I don't know. I I just I find a little bit of problem finding credibility in that, but hey, I don't know. It's fun to take a look at, and why not? But anyway, I love it. We had a potpourri today of how it was that show back on the BBC had it called Connections. And it's the guy that came out with one subject, and within an hour, you covered at least 12, 15 different subjects. And each one seemed to be completely separate by itself, but actually each one was connected within the other. I think we did it very masterfully. So, um, yeah, I have to go back and read all this. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's a very interesting interpretation, a self-portrait. A butterfly man, that's cool. Again, if you blow it up, I mean, the detail of it, I just don't think the average human has that tenacity, level of experience, and execution. And I don't see how a single person, I don't see how you could have a whole field of people. If you've got more than one human being, they're going to leave other tracks. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? I like this, some of the comment. So anyway, see, Nina, I kind of like where you are. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, that there's one in there that I suspected that probably could, but how they did it overnight, I don't know. Again, if you saw people with flashlights and what have you, a farmer would see that. Someone would see that, would one would think. The ones that I have seen where the orbs are literally in the daytime, that was pretty weird and what it was doing. So, a message? Is Enki on his way? Is Enki here? I don't know. And if he's bringing his family with him, oh crap. I mean, here we go again. We got to deal with these yahoos. And they probably wouldn't like people like myself. You know, they're going to, oh man, no way. No, 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 no. Steiger, he's a pain in our ass. It's been a pain in our ass. But hey, the feeling's mutual, you know? Lilith, I ain't got a problem with. And so, yeah, then they're going to go, oh, well, you know, how bad can he be? I mean, you know. So anyway, all right, everybody. We'll be with the ladies tomorrow. Going to go visit the forest a little bit. Yeah, we created it. It's still there. Never goes away. We got a thinker. I don't know. Like I said, it's worth at least a second look. You know, you got to go back and go, well, hmm. And I'm sure in the future there may be something else that we hadn't factored. I mean, but if this was, let's say, the Anunnaki, I mean, they wouldn't want to come in and just announce themselves. That would freak our ass out. I mean, the whole planet would go nuts. So they don't want that. But then again, you know, they can get impatient. And so they have to deal with all the plethora of these other gods and these other entities. Like, how the hell do we do this? Well, there has to be some sort of methodical plan that begins to tie them all in together. That's what we just talked about. Okay. Just saying. All right, folks, this has been fun. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for hitting the like button. Appreciate that. It's very kind. And seriously, let me know your thoughts. And I'll be getting into more detail on this amazing uh, experience. It was quite amazing. Love all you guys and gals. Equal opportunity lover here. That's it. We love everybody. Um, and we look at it not in the Eos way, but we look at the agape way. So there we go. Thank you, Scotty. I respect y'all's time. I mean, you can go any thousand different places. I just think it's far out that you come here. And I love, speaking with like-minded minds. Y'all are the best. Um, so there you go. Reading some of these comments. All right, Mary wins. Much love to you. Love wins. Love won. Yeah, I like that. I was earlier today thinking you've heard the expression you can't relive yesterday, but in the same hand, you can't relive the future either. Like tomorrow. We've never got to experience tomorrow. We actually really never got to experience the past. But the present, that's a little tricky, convoluted little thing, this present thing. It's just not as simple as it seems. Yeah. Lost in space, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All right, y'all. Have yourselves a fantastic one. College football starts here in 2 weeks. Got that going for us. Now, maybe y'all don't like college football, but I do. And so finally, I forgot to say this, and I'll close with this. Be kind to your mind. You see, that's something they don't expect us to do, being kind to our mind. I mean, you walk through that barrier, being kind to your mind. Wow, that'll set you apart. They're gonna go, oh no, 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 no. You don't go all the way up. No, you're going over there. You're gonna like it much better. But that's all I gotta say. All right, so be with Miss Trina and Miss Jenny tomorrow, and we'll pick it up from there, folks. Thank you. Have yourselves a great one. We shall meet in the present tomorrow because we already met in the past.